Godzilla.
Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to that of Hiya Toys for making this review possible, as they sent this guy to me as a review sample. As for when this guy is coming stateside, I have no idea. Same with Shimo. Damn. Okay, GOJI, it's time to take a closer look. Take a look at the hands that I'm not going to be displaying you with, that is. So yeah, they're the basic Hiya Toys relaxed Godzilla hands. Great amount of detail, decent amount of paint. We're really not missing much anyway. Right off the bat, I do think the promos did this guy exceptionally dirty when it comes to his teeth. Granted, I'm not going to sit here and lie to your faces and say these teeth look perfect, because they don't, but they definitely don't look as bad as how they looked in that friggin' promo video. Yeah, over here they're actually discernible. The paint might be a bit gaudy and spotty in a few places, but hey, for the most part, yeah, not bad, not bad. Yeah, it's mostly this side, this little picadillo over here that looks like it was painted and then rubbed off and then, I don't know. Very tiny, very small. Hiya have done better in the past, that's all there is to it. Opening the mouth up though, a very chalky pink color will be coating the inside of the mouth. In fact, you know, to get a better look at all this. Great detail on the roof of the mouth as per usual. Minimal amounts of detailing on the membranes, but they will be painted. More paint and loads of detailing on the floor of Godzilla's mouth. Yeah. And then we've got these very beady, exceptionally small eyes, which from what I can determine from looking at it here in my camera in IRL, are actually looking mostly straight forward. We're gonna do a pre-production zoom here. Yeah, I think those are pointing straight. I mean, goddamn. Oh wow, I didn't even realize he had whites of his eyes. Holy hell. Okay, Hiya. Alright, alright. Look at all that detail and those pink light bright spooches all over his head. Horn dorsal things. Oh, Godzilla's been eating the pink chalk. Great looking head, great looking eyes, teeth could be better, great looking inside of the mouth and tongue. I even talk about, well, it's a tongue, so how much could I really say when it comes to tongue? Before we move on into the obvious, I do just want to cover the better part of Godzilla's body. I mean, the detailing is insane, and there is going to be a light dusting, a pepperidging of other paints and colors all along Godzilla's body and every crack, crevasse, the whole nine. His GOJI elbow blades will also be painted, decently enough for the most part. Nah, it is more so the skin, random skitterings of pink, that are really going to take the show here. Because unlike Godzilla 1991, this is detail that you can feel a hell of a lot more. It's exceptionally extra, and it looks great. I'm really digging the differentiation of color between the front, top, and sides of Godzilla's legs versus the back. Don't ask me why. I just like it. Thought I got a bit of a weird pink spooch over here at first, but then I saw that it was rather present over here as well, so maybe that was intentional? I'm not complaining. From there, we'll move into the tail, glossing over the dorsal fins to the best of my ability, which is not very easily done when it comes to the tail. And as far as the skin goes, the detailing is nice and loud, the colors help accentuate all of the details there, and the figure will be sporting a dirtier looking underside for Godzilla's tail, his feet, moving into his crotch and crotch pits, and sucked in stomach. There's quite a lot going on here in terms of detailing and in paint. And this being my first hyper-articulated Godzilla Earth figure, with a budget beyond that of a vinyl or Playmates toy, seeing all this for the first time in hand is nutter butters. Yeah, man, this is just lovely looking. The little light bright spikes that he's got on his neck, though, they do feel a little haphazardly done. They were feeling and looking the same way on the top of GOJI's head, but I guess, you know, they're so friggin' small, and for the most part, I think they get the point across rather lovingly. And now we can address the elephantine in the room. Here we go, the best part about this figure.
Oh, fuck. What the fuck?
Yeah, so it's no surprise to anybody at this point that the dorsal fins for Hiya's GOJI evolved figure really aren't being praised or met with many positive words. You take this little Puff Howington, for example, and you can actually see some remnants of that paint kind of streaking upwards like hands from the Underverse, aka trees. And it's like, if all of them looked like this, I feel like that would be a bit less of a problem for many. And the other side, depending on the dorsal fin, did fare a bit better, but the other portion of this paint job that people just aren't receiving too well is just going to be the way that the paint was applied. And it very much comes off rather heavy-handed, especially for the bigger center row of dorsal fins. I've been calling Bro Chewed Hubba Bubba Max GOJI because that's what this looks like. They look like wads of gum with, you know, little bits of details in there. Yeah, I can definitely see where people are coming from. I don't know what to attribute this to. Hiya's process is a bit of a mystery to all of us. All we can really do is assume. And why these came out this way, I don't know. I get it. This isn't the powered up version of Godzilla, but this is something. Now, I know it might be hard to really see, but some of the tips of these dorsal fins are going to have a bit of white on them. And unfortunately, it's not going to be as obvious as it was on the Stylus series, but it is there, and I do like that an attempt at that was made. It's just, maybe this is a case where stylization over screen accuracy should really be talked about a bit more. Yeah, I don't know. Some of these dorsal fins just kind of look like uncooked gabagool.
They knew we were coming!
Godzilla's Thagomizer looks rather nice. Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. But I'm also not pants-shittingly upset about it either. And I guess you can attribute that to me not being the #1 Godzilla Evolved stan in the Godzilla fandom. These dorsal fins are very thin, and they will give when bent. So if this guy does fall, I don't think any of these are going to be breaking. But from the looks of some of these dorsal fins, maybe some paint will chip off? I don't know. I'm not taking any chances. But I do so hope whatever V2 version of Godzilla Evolved we get within the next year or so will correct this by just making him powered up evolved Godzilla and not sitting and chilling Godzilla, you know? The paint application, I feel, really doesn't do this any favors, but at the same time, I do feel there is just maybe an ounce, maybe a percentile of overreaction surrounding this guy. What the fuck is going on with this fin? Why is it all fuzzy and... I don't know. Oh, yeah, that looked like paintbrush. Any hoodles. Fully extended Godzilla Evolved will be standing somewhat over 7 inches tall. With his head down as far as it can go, he'll be standing just about, if slightly over 7 inches tall. And when done up in a very neutral stance, he'll be standing over 6 inches tall. Shokugan. Movie. Limited premium movie again. Ichiban Show. Titanic Creations. Hiya Stylist. Hiya 1. Hiya 2. Hiya 3 Standing. HG. Finger Puppets. GOJI Earth Plush. SH Monster Arts. Big Hiya. And now I need to do stuff not to artificially inflate the runtime of this here video, but to hopefully quell some questions people have been having. Now, I've been seeing this whole thing festering for quite some time now, ever since the first In-Hands came out, ever since GOJI Box, ever since Figure Mania show. And if you have to shift the one figure, being pre-evolved, alright? If you have to shift this guy ever so slightly, just so this guy can look him in the eye, that means that he's bigger. That means he is smaller. And you know what? Okay, his ass fell out. You know what? Maybe that'll help me in the long run. We're gonna get him just like Evo GOJI. Yeah, dog, he's still taller. What is this conversation that we keep having? Alright, so let's line up his dorsal fins. Let's get him at a neutral stance here. Make sure the knees are not bent. If I adjust his torso, like I did with this guy, ever so slightly, so the center dorsal fin over here can actually be lined up. Just like that. Yeah, I mean, even then, like, if you have to finagle for both of them to look eye to eye with one another, I mean, there's a clear thing that needs to be done. I know I just showed this, but I'm gonna show it again for the likelihood of anybody who questions my ability at telling things on camera. This is Godzilla evolved. Fully extended as he could possibly be. Practically on his tippy toes. Practically. I've got the torso moved as far back as I possibly can. And with his head fully up like so, let's get him a bit, alright. He's going to stand slightly over 7 inches tall. I've moved his legs even further back and his tail sideways so this part isn't holding him back. Nah. Okay, so he's about here. We can all see that, right? Look at that. He's taller. Future Rob, do some fancy editing, Magoo, and just show these things side by side. I'm not trying to be a dick here, but sometimes it's just ridiculous. The figure's shorter. Who gives a shit? Don't be a size queen about it. Yeah, says the guy who pitched a tent about 2017 Destroyer being shorter than Burning Godzilla. If you need to finagle your evolved Godzilla to be the exact same height as the rest of your Hiya Monsterverse Godzillas, you can absolutely do that. So, can we put this part of the video to rest? They're not the same size, and that's fine. Now, before you read in between the lines and prove that the Rob in Shinrob Jira actually stands for robbery and not Robert, since I am essentially committing robbery with how little rent I pay in many of people's brains, this is essentially an upgraded version of the Monsterverse Godzilla. If you have a Monsterverse Godzilla, you kinda have this guy too. Kinda. Maybe like 85% kinda. The one thing that wasn't upgraded or even brought over from GOJI was the head movement. The head movement ain't crazy. He can look that far up before the slit in his neck appears, and you know what? I'll decapitate him. Take his neck flaps off, and look at that fucking thing. My god, there's really not much movement going on in there. Which, I mean, yeah, it's a bummer. I really do wish they would have kept the 2014 tooling for this guy. Headless Evaporator GOJI's arms can move out about that far, back in about that far. Lovely rotation right there at the shoulder. Lovely rotation at the bicep. Decent but tight rotation at the forearm, but at least then we get a nice bend at the elbow thanks to both joints over here. Swivel at the wrist, up and down, up and down, up and down, side to side, side to side, side to side. GOJI Hemlock will be able to crunch forward very, very far. Look at that. My god. You know what? We have to get the head back on, and we're gonna do it in the first way. Okay, yeah, he really still can't, like, appear to be looking down all that far, unless you know, build it up with the legs, and then he'll be looking down. Not only that, but it'll be able to swivel all the way around, thank god. And it'll have some rockage from side to side. Bend over. The greatest and newest addition to this figure will be the articulated dorsal fin at the center over here. Up, down, side to side. What I really like about this inclusion, this guy can move forward and down pretty far, and it does leave a bit of a nasty gap in there. So, boom, you've put a band-aid over the gigantic hole in your submarine, and the same can essentially be done once you bend him back and you just move the thing out of the way. And this thing can swivel all the way around, so you can like really mess with everything going on here. That's something I wasn't expecting, but it's something that I very much do appreciate. And now, since GOJI's got the hips that don't lie like Shakira, moving the legs was never an issue with Hiya figures, but look at that bend. Oh, hell yeah. All that real estate in there can get you. Godzilla crossing his legs, waiting so patiently for his apple juice and cookies.
Fearsome Godzilla has evolved.
Alright, all that cringe is done. You will get some rotation at the top of the knee. Most of the rotation will be taking place at the shin over here. You'll get full rotation at the ankle. Pivot from side to side. Yes, very nice. Don't mind me, I forgot that the legs can move in and out about that far each. On both sides, don't you know? And then we've got the tail, which, yeah, I do feel is an improvement from other Monsterverse Godzilla tails from Hiya. I mean, look at that. It's beautiful. It's not long enough to get those organic and crazy bends like the 1991 figure had, but let's get good old pre-evolved, re-evolved Godzilla up in this biz and see. No, this is the best I can get the standard MonsterVerse Godzilla's tail to, like, get to his body before, something pops out and off. And since this tail is made up entirely out of ball joints, ball joints can also swivel from time to time, I'm sure is known by now. It's not really going to have any magnificent movements up, though. I mean, he can get a curve up and the pose will stay. No, this guy's strong suit is curling to the sides because, god damn, look at that. Oh, hell yeah. See you back here in a couple seconds. So when it comes to posability, as you could probably tell through articulation, you're not going to get too much new with this guy. You are going to get improvements though. I mean, the arms, the tail, the ab crunch, and of course the posable dorsal fin. You're gonna get all of that, but if you've messed with a MonsterVerse Godzilla figure from Hiya in the past, you're gonna feel very much at home here. Yes, it's not going to be as flexible as that of the 1991 Hokkaido Battle version Godzilla, and I really wasn't expecting anything crazily similar to that of 91 or crazily different from the MonsterVerse Godzilla figures that Hiya has put out, but I would still call this a pretty awesome figure when it comes to that. I know visual-wise people have their issues, but to discredit the entirety of the figure for everything that it does right just because the dorsal fins aren't amazing or perfect or anything like that, I don't think is very much fair to that of the figure. Like, if this thing fell apart and the dorsal fins looked the way they did, then yeah, that's a double entendre right there. Then you'd have a conversation. But here, with this, he's fun to pose. The articulation is still an upgrade from what we've received in the past. Yeah, there are things that people are taking issue with this, of course, especially after the long wait times, but as somebody who's not obsessed with that of Godzilla Evolved or drastically in love with this design, I mean, I like it, I dig it, I'm not exactly having the same connection a lot of people are having. And that's where my presence of not thereof a bias is really taking hold here. I see where people are upset. I hope that Hiya can correct that. I mean, it's getting to the point where even Calcus is offering repainted figures for sale of this. Very cool, but also very telling, I imagine. But ultimately, for somebody like me who just likes the Godzilla Evolved design, I still think this is a pretty good figure. I will be looking forward to the supercharged or the heat ray version with hopefully translucent dorsal fins that can hopefully really showcase a certain amount of balance to it. But we'll see. I've been ShinRobJira. I hope you enjoyed this video. When next we meet, probably Godzilla finger puppets. Good night. Good morrow. I love you. I might be ShinRob lives rent-free in your brain, Jira. Most importantly, I am ShinRob lives rent-free in your heart.